All right.
How nervous were you during that countdown to record?
I was excited. I was like, yes. And then there was 2, 1, and I was like, oh shit, like it's happening,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, you were very pumped about that. All right. So you're my sister. Obviously, we're related through blood. Your name
Yes.
is Sandra Margaret Bechtel.
Let's not give out the full name, I
Oh,
don't want to be a
sorry.
stalker
All right.
with all
My
our
name
listeners.
my name is Jay. No name. No, I'm Jackson, and we're starting a podcast reviewing movies and shows. Do you have anything? You said you had something to say about that?
Just that we're really excited. We have very similar tastes in movies and shows. So Jackson's like, let's start a podcast. And I was like, yes, let's do it. We have nothing better to do with our lives. So let's do that. Yeah, we're super excited to get started. First segment, I don't know if this has been done on a podcast before, but we're going to pick our name. And you'll kind of
Yeah.
see the dynamic between us, and we'll probably disagree.
All right. Yeah. Whatever. All right. Yeah. So I had a couple. I don't know about any of these. I'll be honest. Um, put down the clicker. I don't love that one. Put down put down the remote. Now these are the ones. These are the ones I kind of like drop the clicker, drop the remote. So you could do like DTR for drop the remote, like a
Oh, okay.
DTR pod. So
Okay.
you kind
It's
of
kind of,
condense it, but
yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. Sit and stay. Didn't love that one.
Okay.
Stay and watch. You know.
A
I had
little bit
another
better
one.
than sit and stay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that one sounds creepy though. Stay
Yeah.
watch. Let the boy watch. And then I put like family ties. I don't know.
That's just giving me that one rap song. I don't know who it's by, but Family Ties.
Yeah, was not aware of that one.
Okay.
All right, what did you come up with?
Well, you have a few more. You said The Beck Show and then Beck Show.
Those were my favorite ones. Yeah, the Beck Show.
Okay. See, but everyone, it looks like Betch. I feel like people are going to say The Betch Show and not Beck.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know how to say our name unless they know us.
Yeah.
It's okay, we'll consider that. I like those too. Okay, I have like a few as well, and then I'll tell you my favorites. So, binge list breakdown, that's one.
BLB.
Yeah, desert island cinema.
That's
Don't
good.
hate that. Have you seen question mark? Like I'm always like, have you seen this? Have you seen
Oh
this?
yeah. Yeah, these names are way better.
Shows and bros. I really like that one. Okay, this
Wait, what's the bros? Because I'm the okay. Yeah.
because we're bros,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
Sin Sibs, like cinema siblings, just shortened. Sin Sibs.
Oh yeah,
I
these are
like.
way better than mine. Did you chat GBT these?
No, I use there's websites where you can put in like what your podcast is, and then they will like produce different names for you, and then I use some of those to like get the creativity jogging. Then pass the popcorn, like similar to yours. Okay, then seen it, bro? Question mark. Like, but SCENE. Final cut, like the final cut of what we love, basically. And then next episode, please. Oh, and then who picked this? Question mark. I really like that one. Since we're
That's
going
a good
back
one.
and forth picking them. So my top ones from mine are binge list breakdown, shows and bros, sin sibs, seen it, bro. Who picked this?
Yeah. I kind of like shows and bros.
Me too. Cause
Right?
it's like, yeah, I like that one. Shows and bros decided.
Yeah. Let's go with it. How are we gonna spell it though? Meaning, are we gonna put an apostrophe or
Um,
how did you have it written out?
just SHOWSANDBROS.
What about the and symbol?
We can do the and symbol. I like that. Shows and bros.
All right. All right.
Perfect.
Pod names are knocked out. All right.
Wow, everyone, welcome to the Shows and Bros podcast.
Shows and bros pod.
Brother
Now,
and sister talking about
yeah,
shows.
not the Beck show. It was a close second. Close second. I want to let it be known.
Yes. Just for everyone, for all of our listeners out there, I know there's so many of you. Our last name is pronounced Bechtel, even though it's spelled Bechtel. That's what people say, but it's Bechtel.
That is what people say. Definitely have to correct them. So I chose the first episode. This was kind of I've been on a rewatchables kick, so we have to shout them out. This is kind of where I got the inspiration for the podcast. And our goal is to actually get sued by them years from now because we're so similar. So I don't know if we should be. Maybe we might strike this on the editing floor, but we want to get so successful that we get sued by them. So that's our goal. Just want to state that out here. We could
You want to
outline
be,
goals potentially.
yeah, with them.
Exactly. So I chose Californication, episode 1, the pilot. Californication is about Hank Moody, a struggling writer who drinks a lot, and he's basically just trying to get back his, not wife, but his longtime girlfriend and his daughter. And Karen is his longtime girlfriend and Becca, but Karen has moved in with Bill, a much wealthier man. Not as good looking, but much wealthier.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as good looking, definitely. And but much wealthier. And Hank is just bumbling his way through life, trying to make it work. And you kind of get a sense of that in this first episode. I loved it. Do you remember the first time you watched it? I think the first time I watched it was like 2014. Like it's been over 10 years now, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because the original air date is August 2007. So,
yeah. No, I watched it well after it came out.
yeah, I was quite young when it first came out. So, I don't remember. I was trying to think about it, but I've seen it so many times since then. I remember the feeling I had when I first watched it, though. I remember, like, oh my God, like, this is something special. Like, I've never seen something like this before.
Yeah, no, I think that's what you want in television, or like anything you watch is like it's original. It's something you haven't, you'd never really seen this concept before. At least I had, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some uncomfortable moments in the first episode, I thought too, which we'll hit. Actually, do you want to hit that now? Like, what was your most uncomfortable moment watching this one?
I think,
Because
I mean,
it's pretty sexually graphic at times,
it is, yeah. I mean, with it being like a Showtime show, I would say this is not one to watch with your family members. Mom and dad definitely know. So, if I'd been watching it with them, probably like the most uncomfortable moment would be he's hooking up with that girl towards the end of the episode, and then mid hookup, he gets the call from Karen, and she's like, "Oh, I need you," blah blah blah, and he takes the phone call, and right before the girl's like, "Defile me," and then he has to leave, and he's like, "Consider yourself defiled," and she's
Yeah.
like, "Fuck," that was an uncomfortable one, I think. If
I thought that
someone
was funny. Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, but imagine like mom or dad were in the room with you. Like, I wouldn't have enjoyed that.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of the moments, but that would just be because your parents are there, you know.
True, true.
My moment was when Becca was like, "Dad, there's a naked lady in the bed." You
That's
know,
a good, yeah, that's
just
a good
because
one.
like it's like a kid and
Yeah,
it's not her mom, and you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Because it's all fun and games when it's all like adults playing
hmm
around and doing all the nonsense, and but just because it made me think what if that was like my dad, and I walked in, like that would have been, I guess we're talking about kind of a similar thing, the parent thing again, but like, you know, just like watching by myself, I'm like, it just made me like a little uncomfortable, which is good. I mean, good art makes you uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, it certainly grounds you and brings you down to earth. I think rewatching it, which we'll talk about this part of the show and the episode later, but rewatching it when he first meets Mia, like it's hard to watch it now knowing what we know, and not feel uncomfortable by those like encounters. The
Yeah.
first time we ever saw it, it's different though. Because we
Yeah, because you're
think,
kind of seeing it through through Hank's perspective,
yeah.
um, to where you're just like, oh, you don't really
hmm
ask questions, you don't know, you're kind of hammered all the time, and you kind of just like stumble through life, and
Right.
then boom, she's not quite as old as we thought.
hmm
All right, so what was your best scene?
Best scene in the first episode. I would say best scene for me would be, I think it's the conversation between Hank and Karen when they're in the kitchen and Karen is talking about, you need to get your shit together. you're not writing. You know, you can really see their relationship dynamic play out and how much love they still have for each other and kind of banter. You know, he's still trying to get after her, and he's talking about how, you know, Bill, the new guy she's with, is just this dial tone, and how she can't possibly love him, you know, and then she reveals that she's
But she
engaged to
is
him.
like, Bill sucks. We all hate Bill.
True
No one
dial tone.
likes Bill.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
one.
No
Not
one's
even as
excited by Bill. No one likes Bill. Like you just root so hard against Bill immediately.
yeah. He has a nice house though, you know, that's a plus.
Great house. Great house.
So I think that scene, and then, you know, one of the quotes that I can never get out of my head is her telling him like, you're just trying to get back at me by sticking your dick in anything that moves. You know, I think that's just such a Hank quote, you know, about him.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, as you
There's
can,
actually a quote from this show. I don't know if it was this episode, but Hank. I think Charlie says to Hank like or it was Karen to Hank maybe like you're drowning in a pointless sea of pussy, and
mm,
it was just I had never heard that before, and it was so on par for Hank. It's all pointless to him. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And like, how many girls does he fuck in the first episode?
I think. Oh, I actually don't know. Well, we had the first one, in that hilarious scene where he's getting chased out by the bat,
Right.
and then we had the other girl, naked lady, in the bed, and then we
Well,
had
mhm.
and then we had Mia. That's it, right?
And then, no, and then the girl who's like, defile me, and then
Oh
he
yeah.
leaves.
Does that count? I guess yeah.
So
So
four.
yeah, yeah, it's a
Or
lot.
then he's like interacting with that he has slept with in the first
Yeah,
show.
I mean it's four in a 30-minute episode. Like that's quick. It's quick work.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, you're getting a real feel for him. All right, so my
Yeah.
best scene is at the end. How it and this is where the show like hooked me because it's all like it's funny and you know there's he's hooking up with a lot of girls, blah blah blah. Like that's always interesting. And but then when he walks in the kitchen, and then Karen introduces Mia, Bill's daughter, and he like takes like a step back, and like you could tell he's trying to hide the horror and shock. I'm like,
Mm.
this is you know, Mia. She's 16. Mia's Mia's devious grin, her evil grin, you know.
Hmm.
They're like, oh, hi, Hank.
Yeah, and she jokes, you know, she's like, "Oh, like I think I recognize you," and he's
Yeah,
like,
he's
"No."
like, no, 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 no. And Karen's like, kind of like picking up, like maybe like something weird. She's like looking at it like kind of. There's a little foreshadowing there, but yeah,
Mhm.
um, yeah. But then you know, like that's that's coming unhinged at some point. You
Great
know,
scene.
we don't know how long we're gonna keep that lie together, but
Yeah.
you know it's all unraveling at some point.
Yeah. The stress keeps building as the show continues.
Yeah. Well, and you could argue a lot of shows like these, like you'll say, oh, they glorify and glamorize the lifestyle, and there's no consequences on the back end, you know. But you can already see the consequences of his actions at the end of
Mm.
episode one. You know, he hasn't faced them yet, but but you can see where it's headed, which I think
Mhm.
is great because sometimes you just get lost in the shuffle of, oh, it looks so, you know, you're doing all these drugs, you're hooking up, and there's nothing on the back end. Like, what's on the back end of that, you know? So,
Right. Yeah, and the people around him are really highlighting that even in the first episode. Like Charlie is like, you haven't worked in forever, you know, his agent. And then he goes
yeah,
on that date too, and he absolutely just tears into this woman he just met, you know, just
yeah,
because he is feeling so bad about himself, you know?
yep,
So yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that's a great point about the show. And you know, he's so likable and so unlikable at the same time, like during his whole, you know, character arc throughout the show.
yeah. I mean, he's a human being, you know? You love him, but then you get really angry at him and you're disappointed in him, you know? So
Mhm.
it's well written. All right, what was your hardest laugh in the episode?
Hardest laugh.
Yeah,
There's so many moments. I think probably, like you said, hardest laugh was when Mia and Karen and Hank had that interaction, you know, in the kitchen. and Hank's trying to like hold it together. I think it was just so like it's like uncomfortable laughter, and you're like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen?
I was more stunned during that. I don't know if I was like laughing as much, you know,
What about
especially the
you?
first time.
Yeah.
I had a couple. I thought when he gets kicked out, when the husband comes back, when he's hooking up with the girl in Malibu and getting chased out by the bat, like that whole thing was pretty funny.
Hmm.
But when he shows up and acts like it's normal that he has no pants on,
Oh
just
my god,
just the ridiculousness of showing up in a convertible with no pants and being like, "Yeah, I'm taking you to school," like like trying to brush it off.
and he like, invites him. He's like, come and join me with the no pants off
The no
party.
pants. Yeah.
He's confident, like no matter what the situation is, you know. Wait, I'm
Yeah.
gonna change my answer to that one. I think that's more so like a funny moment versus yeah, the shock of figuring out, oh my god, Mia is Karen's soon to be stepdaughter.
Yeah. Just the ridiculousness of it was great. And then yeah, I thought another like subtle funny one was when he's like in bed with that girl initially, and then so you get like a feel for the show immediately, and then he's getting the girl. He like obviously the girl's into him, and then he like jokes. Like just this little joke gets me every time where he was like the clits on the bottom. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know why that gets me
And he's
because he
like,
always
oh, when he's like, I have my GPS on me. Like, I thought that was really
yeah
funny. And then, yeah, the guy chases him out and he's like telling the guy as he's going off, like, where the clit is. Like, that was so funny.
yeah that whole sequence.
Yeah. Yeah, we just, you know who Hank Moody is, like, after the first episode, which I don't think a lot of shows do that, you know?
Yeah, I think the good ones do. I hate when like they're like, all right, yeah, you got to watch. Give it to like episode 6, and I'm like, I'm not wasting 5 hours to find out if I'm interested. Like all the great shows I've ever watched, and this is why this is why I picked this first one. It's like if you don't like the pilot, like if you don't like Californication, the first episode, like you're not gonna like the show.
Hmm.
Like you get a feel for the show immediately. It's the pilot's so good,
Yeah.
and every show I ever liked, the pilot's great because they put
Hmm.
so much work in. So it's like if I don't like if I'm not hooked by the pilot, like it's over. Like
Yeah.
you're done. You had your chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
what do you what do you
Fire.
want? Yeah, no. All these people are like, yeah, you gotta like Succession. Like I just wasn't that impressed by the pilot. Like I'm sure it's a great show, but it's like how long until I'm hooked? You know?
Yeah, I
If I
think
can,
that's like a hit or miss for people. Definitely slower than
you get
this
one
type of.
shot. You get one chance. You know? All right.
Yeah, like Breaking Bad, Sopranos, like you're in 100%.
Immediately, like Dexter, the first one, you're like, this guy's a killer, but yeah. Your mind's just like blown by the concept, and it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if it's like a comedy, like a funny one, you know,
Hmm.
like.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Let's go. Worst performance.
Worst performance.
Worst actor. Worst performance.
I think I agree with you. Like Charlie, the actor that plays Charlie, he's he's all right. Like I think he has his funny moments just because his character itself is ridiculous. But I think acting wise, like he just isn't great compared to everyone else. Especially the girl who plays Hank and Karen's daughter. I think she's great for her age, and then Mia is really really great. Then obviously Karen and
Well,
Hank.
yeah, yeah. Well, we're going worst, so we don't have to give flowers to everyone. But yeah, we'll go best here in a second.
Okay, where's this Charlie? Where's this Charlie?
Yeah, I agree. They even make fun of it later in the show, um, like way down the road, where they like make fun of how he has like the expressions of like um, like a weird uncle or something. Like they're just like making fun of like how bad, like he kind of just like sets his face into like one expression. Like there's no like nuance or subtlety.
Hmm.
Um, I think a lot of the great actors they'll tell you a lot with their eyes. Like I
Yeah.
agree. We're not turning this into best actor, as I scolded you for. But like Mia, she's always so devious with her expression and her eyes.
Hmm.
So there's a lot. So I think she's always great there. But yeah, no, Charlie just like, and that I think going forward, that's probably where the show gets a little stale. Is the supporting actors, there's just not a lot of depth there, you know.
Mm.
Like when they bring on like Rob Lowe or someone like that, it's great. But he's again playing like a ridiculous psychopath. You know what I mean? But they don't have the best. You know, a lot of the best shows, like Sopranos, like we mentioned earlier, like you got 10 characters deep that are all just fascinating. You know, and they provide a lot more backstory to all of them. And Charlie's
Yeah,
just like a weird. He's just like a weird like side. He's just a sidekick. The whole show,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Like you're not invested in his life. You don't really give a shit. Like
Yeah,
Breaking Bad, I think that's a great comparison for so many characters where you're like they have such depth to their story and you really are invested in the background, even if they're like the most evil of characters.
yeah. They show you, and then like later on, they'll go back and show like how Gus became, you know, or whatever. But with Charlie, you're just like this guy's just like a goofball agent, you know, and you never get like any more explanation or depth. Like that's all you need to know, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even think we ever find out why he's Hank's agent, do we?
Not really, no. They like flash back to like when they're like in New York and they like you know, but there's
Hmm.
but they never lay like the groundwork for it, you know.
Right, right.
All
Yeah.
right, all right. Best actor, best performance.
Best
What do you?
actor, now that we can do it. I
Yeah,
mean, we gotta go David Duchovny, who plays
yeah.
Hank.
It's
It's hard
I
to,
wrote this in the notes. Like you easily just could have called this the Hank Moody show.
yeah.
Like, we talked about it, or I talked about it just now. But like the supporting actors, they're not always taking up too much screen time. So I mean, he just if he doesn't hit, the show's not a hit. And you're like, this guy is Hank Moody. Like you buy it, and you're like, I don't know how dissimilar David Duchovny is from Hank Moody.
Well, so I
Which,
listened to a
yeah,
podcast that he was on like the other day, and he's like very similar to Hank Moody, in terms of, he's an academic, and which Hank Moody, not so much, right? Like in real life, David Duchovny has two doctorate
I was gonna
degrees,
say he's got a doctorate. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's Princeton and then Yale, if I'm not mistaken. So, just constant education, constantly reading and learning more. And he's written a few novels now. So, yeah, he's truly a writer. And then we've talked about this before, but I think you were telling me how he got in trouble, during Californication for infidelity, right, in his marriage by like hooking up with different women. And so he kind of has that trait similar to Hank Moody.
yeah. So I was gonna say that's part of where art imitates life, life imitates art. He truly becomes Hank Moody because going into the second season, after the first season, he had to enter rehab for alcoholism and sex addiction. Does that sound like a certain character, Hank Moody? You
Yes.
know, because he was married to another famous actress, Tay Leona, or what the hell's her name? You know what
I
I'm
don't
talking
know.
about? She's been in a million movies. She was the wife of Adam Sandler in Spanglish. You know,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so they were married, they had kids. So that's why he had to go to rehab and be like, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. I shouldn't cheat on my
Uh-huh.
wife. Do that whole song and dance, you know?
Hmm.
And then, yeah, linked with alcohol. So that, yeah, not sure how much he was acting, is all I'm trying to say. Seemed like, all right. And then, so
Yeah,
we hit
knowing
best.
knowing about his life, it seems like the show was like written for him. It feels like he's really Hank Moody. And listening to that podcast, he talks just like Hank, and his humor is very,
Exactly like
very
Hank.
similar.
Yeah, his humor's
Yeah.
exactly like Hank. Like a dry, clever. Because later on in the
Mhm.
show, one of the rappers, you know, he's like, Hank, I'm funny. You witty. You know, but like that's Hank. Hank is like witty and clever and like gonna throw in the side
Mhm.
remarks. All right, which character? Which character do you want? Or should we stay on Duchovny for a second since we're already here?
Yeah, let's stay on him. I think he's such an
Okay.
interesting person and actor.
Yeah. So what do you think? Was this the best moment of his career? Because I was gonna say it was. It was probably. I think this is kind of his comeback. Because he did X Files, which was the biggest, one of the biggest shows, not the biggest, one of the biggest shows in the '90s on
Hmm.
network TV. They were winning awards. Then he went quiet there for a while, tried to kind of become a movie star, did a couple leads, didn't quite work out. So he went quiet for about a decade, and his wife was doing a little better than him, which, that's always weird when you have the two celebrities, one's doing better than the other. And then he
Mm-hmm.
gets Californication, which is on a good show, on for 7 years. So I think it was more of a comeback. I don't think it was kind of the highlight of his career.
Yeah, I think it's certainly his most well-known role. Um, and then I think
A lot of older people, though, know him from the X-Files, because that was a huge show.
true, yeah. And it was known like worldwide too. It wasn't just like super popular in the US. But I think now in terms of like the character that people see him as, if they've seen Californication, it's Hank Moody.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's
But yeah,
more of the artist than the FBI agent Mulder, I think.
yeah, and he says he's not even like a sci-fi fan either. So this seems to like fit him more, as a
Yeah.
role. But yeah, I think it's the most memorable thing for me in terms of his career. And now he's also like a singer, songwriter who's like touring, and I've seen people post him online being like, what is Hank Moody doing up here, like performing?
Well, that's
So,
like right after he did the show. He did like a little show on NBC for a couple seasons. That wasn't that good, apparently. I never watched it. But then he like went straight into like being like a rock star and like a writer, like you said. He like wrote book, and you're like, oh, this guy's Hank Moody. Again, we're
right.
back to the point where this guy is exactly the character he's playing. Because even in
So,
the show, it's like he's playing guitar, and he kind of gets into the musical world later in the show.
yeah.
So like everything they touch in the show, he touches in real life later. You know.
So you know why he did that on the show, like learning to play guitar? He knew he wanted to go into that after the show. He knew the show was wrapping up, so he told writers and producers like, "Hey, I think Hank should learn guitar. Like I think that would be amazing." So he got all the free guitar lessons and everything, knowing that that's what he wanted to do after.
Smart. Yeah,
Very
that's kind of when the show like starts to suck though. Like like, did you ever see Ray Donovan? You ever see that
no,
show?
I didn't see that.
Could be a future episode, depending. But so the show's like downhill. So he's out in LA for the first like 5 seasons, and then season 6, they're like Ray takes New York. So they like move the show to New York or whatever. And that's when Californication sucks. It's like season 6. They're like Hank's in the music business now. And he's like with all the rock stars and everything. So it's like whenever they've run out of ideas, they've squeezed that orange as much as they could. The
Hmm.
show's kind of over for me at that point. Except Dexter. I'll keep watching Dexter. I don't know what it is. That show's got it.
Yeah, well, it was always something new with all the different serial killers, and they kind of had a theme for each season with Dexter, so I think that's what made it really good. There was, especially in the first few seasons of it, there was always this kind of like cliffhanger at the end,
Yeah, well,
which
we don't have to
really
go. Yeah, we
watching.
don't have to go too much into Dexter, but I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
just a little
All right.
side note, one of our favorite
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah. All right. My army notes are coinciding with my real notes. All right. So we went through best actor. All right. So which character would you want to be in the show, or is there a character that you would want to be?
How about you answer this one first?
Well, I mean, as a guy, I feel like it's obvious. Like you want to be Hank. Like Hank's the star. He's so cool. He's unbelievably cool. For all his faults, like when he walks into the room, he's always the coolest guy in the show.
Hmm.
Whether he's around the biggest, like for whatever reason, he's just got that thing. And some actors, like who am I trying to like? Glenn Powell. Do you like Glenn Powell?
Yeah, I love Glen Powell.
Glenn Powell's fine. Here's the thing about Glenn Powell. He
Yeah,
he looks the part.
I love Glen Powell.
He's fine. He looks the part. He checks all the boxes, but he never has that feel of like that. Like he's like that coolest guy in the room. Like you don't get that it factor with him. You know?
Okay. There's a movie you need to watch with Glen Powell, and I think it's not a really well-known movie, but it's called Everybody Wants Some, and he plays one of these baseball players. They're on this college baseball team in the 80s, and it's kind of giving like Fast Times at Ridgemont High vibes. And
Okay.
I think his character in that, like, he's really cool. That's the first thing I ever really saw him in. I think as a person he seems cool, but yeah, he's definitely not one of my favorite actors. I
Yeah,
think he gives like cool vibes though.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say without just sounding like, too weird, but like Hank's just got that thing, and David Duchovny, if you just listen to him in
Mhm.
life, he's just got like that magnetism, where like you just want to be around this guy. You know
He
what I mean?
does.
Like that
Yeah,
old adage where like guys want to be him, girls want to be with him. Like you feel it with this guy. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think yeah, Glenn Powell's kind of a good comparison because objectively everyone thinks obviously he's super attractive. He's been in some really good movies, but I don't think he has that factor.
He
Just
doesn't have
because
that.
he looks good, it's not like, oh my God, I want to talk to this guy, I want to be near this guy. Like,
Yeah,
David
yeah,
Duchovny, I think he's not the biggest star, but I would definitely be like starstruck, kind of vibe seeing him. I would be like, holy shit, like he's
and I
right
think
there.
part of that I agree, and part of that character, or like part of the way he plays Hank in the show, is he's never impressed to be anywhere.
Yeah.
Like he's always like there's a episode. It was like the beginning of season 4. Spoiler alert, where well, this whole thing, spoiler alerts, whatever, and he's just getting out of jail, and he meets like the biggest movie star, like Sasha Bingham, and he's like, oh, good day to you, Sasha, how do you do? And he's like, what exactly do you do here? And he's like lounged in the couch, like in the middle of like an ad agency. He's like laying down, and
Hmm.
he's like, what do you do? And then Charlie like runs up and he's like, oh, ha ha, Hank, you son of a gun. And then Sasha leaves. He's like, what are you doing, you idiot? That's the biggest movie star. And then he's like, Charlie, I've been in jail. And Charlie's like, oh, it was 48 hours, like you should know who. But he just doesn't care who people are. But that's a
Yeah.
great quality because, he treats everybody the same. But he's just never impressed, like, by any situation or to be in any room. You know what I mean?
Right. And I feel like that's why, as a character, like, he does not align with LA at all. And he talks about it so much in the show, like, how much he
Yeah,
hates LA. Like, he wants to get back to New York, he wants to
that's a good point.
write, he cares about his family. Obviously, women, but you'll see in the show, like, women literally flock to this man just because of, like you said, the energy he gives off. Like, he sits in a room. Maybe he's at a cocktail bar. The bartender's hitting on him. Someone's looking at him sitting across the bar. Like he can choose whoever he wants, basically. And then
It's
he has that.
impossible. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
impossible.
I think like if I had to choose someone to be, it would be nice to be him for a few days. Like see what that kind of life is like. Just yeah, how cool he is. Yeah, just that energy. It's
That's a
insane.
good point. Is like like if you're putting yourself in his shoes, you're like having to like swat away like beautiful women to like at the hope of like getting your family back. Like it's like impossible. Like
Yeah.
he's literally it's almost like a hell. Like I'm not even joking. Like that's almost like your own form of hell because like you're trying to like get back with like it's almost like hinting at like temptation and like the devil always like pulling you in a way because it's just all these like beautiful tens just like throwing themselves at him constantly and he's like no like I'm trying to get my like ex-girlfriend back and then he's kind of thinking about it. He's like, all right, well, I guess I'll go ahead with this one. And it just
Yeah.
never. So
My
and then
ex.
all of a sudden you look up and it's been like 7 years, you know
Right.
so it's interesting.
Yeah, and then it's that snowball effect of, you keep doing it, the self-hatred kind of snowballs, and then the alcoholism, the drug use, and then later on, another spoiler alert, when his dad passes, like it really comes to a peak at that time, you know.
Yeah. All right, giving away all the spoilers. All right. Do you have any categories here?
Um, let's see. I mean, we have Mount Rushmore career moment. We can talk about that one.
Yeah. Do you want to go with Karen here?
I mean, I think David Duchovny, I would say, would be my answer for like his Mount Rushmore career moment because if we're going in terms of acting, because I feel like he's kind of stopped acting at this point in time and he's gone to the writing, he's done, he's into the music industry now and he's really doing that. So maybe if something comes along, he will do that, but it seems like he's sticking with writing, the academic kind of side of things, especially since he's so well educated and taken so much time to get those degrees. And then, with the music and touring.
Yeah. Well, do you think for Karen, Natasha, do you remember her last name?
Yeah, it's Natasha McElhone.
Yes, Natasha McElhone. Do you think this or Truman Show is a bigger moment for her? Because she had like the fourth or fifth lead in Truman Show. She was like the real love interest. So, but this is 13 years later when this show happens. So she's obviously much older. But I think those are her two biggest roles. Which one do you think's a bigger moment for her?
I think for her, Californication, because it's much longer, right? You get to see her show off her like acting skills, and she's just another character who I would love to be. She's just a really cool person. Obviously she has to be Hank's love interest, and for him to be yearning after her for so long, she just has this like aura about her where you're just like, wow, like she's so beautiful, and she's this really cool architect. I think that's an amazing job, and she just has this like warm presence.
Yeah, no, she is very stunning on the screen. Absolutely. What else we got here? Anything else here?
I think that's it for categories. Overall, like, what do you think was your impression after watching the first episode? This last time we did the rewatch before the podcast. Anything new?
Not really. I guess I guess seeing how the show unfolds and like the pain that he later inflicts upon his family, I think the first time you see it, it's more of like a thrill ride and like a kind of a shock at the end, And then this time, there's a touch more of maybe just like sadness because, like some of the hell he's about to put his family through, and kind of how that impacts Becca, especially because she's like 12 when the show starts. She's so young. Kind of all that, but just also like how funny it is. Like every couple moments, like I find myself like kind of laughing or chuckling. So, yeah. Overall, I like this is one of my favorite shows ever, and I think you feel the same way probably. Comfortably in my top 10. Comfortably in my top 10.
Definitely. I think it's an amazing show. During the rewatch, I was thinking, just like, since I've seen it so many times and so have you, I was really thinking how much kind of like of an asshole he is, Sometimes in a good way, like charming, other times it's like, holy shit, like when he's really, really feeling bad about himself, he takes down other people so much.
That's when he gets mean. Yeah, that's when it's like, it's not like a cute, you know how like Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David or like Seinfeld, it's more of like they don't have patience for like small talk or like bullshit, and it's like it's funny because they're calling out like the ordinary stupidity of just kind of life, or they just don't have patience for like nonsense. But yeah, you're right. No, it does get mean when like Hank is like feeling bad about himself.
Yeah, and with his intelligence and like literary prowess, he can really like hit people where it hurts, like in such an intelligent way that others can't.
Yeah, and I'm not comparing myself because I certainly don't have two doctorates. I got a bachelor's at 29, but working on online master starts in a month though, so we're ready. But I would say that what you just said there kind of hit home because like I can get like that too, where I can get mean and like hit people where I'm trying to be funny. Like I think on the good side of me, which is something you just said something there where I kind of like. That's part of the character where I do kind of resonate with, where it's like, I hate that I'm comparing myself to Hank right now after all the compliments we just showered him in, but I am comparing myself to like kind of the worst version of that. Like I can see that kind of slip into myself sometimes. And, part of some of my good friends, who I won't name here, but they have called that out at times where, they'll be like, all right, like like you're being a dick right now, or like, whatever it is, so. Especially in like a competitive environment, or if I'm just not feeling particularly. I've definitely been on dates like that where you just don't want to, or whatever. You're just not feeling. You don't want to be there. Then all of a sudden, like you're just kind of unintentionally taking out your anger at yourself on the other person. And So you kind of see every side of Hank in this episode, I feel like. A little bit, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think, yeah, it really shows just how complex of a character he is, and
Yeah.
what he really cares about. He doesn't care about that much, and we really get an inside lens into like what he actually does care about.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how we're exactly going to do this going. I think pilots are a great way because we kind of introduce,
Hmm.
people to the show, our two listeners. If we have two, that'd be nice. You said you promised one. I got to get one. But
I Yeah,
yeah, I got to find one.
guys, pay you to listen. I'm just kidding.
No, 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 that's not. She promised that. She promised that. But yeah, so we might do like a future episode on here or whatever. But what was your favorite season of Californication? Or like, what was like your top three favorite seasons?
Top three favorite seasons. I mean, I feel like season one has to be in there for me. I would say season one is probably going to go number two for me.
Why would you start in the middle of your top
I
three?
don't know. I was starting with season one.
You
I don't
wouldn't go
know.
from worst to best or best to worst.
I don't know. Wait, I'm trying to think about what. Do you know what happens like in each season? Like, give me a little summary.
Well, one, remember they kind of end up with like the wedding, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Two, they're kind of back, and then Lou Ashby. It's kind of the Lou Ashby season,
Yeah. Okay.
and then three was just chaos. It was just him and the teachers. He was at the school and
Oh, yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a great one. That's a good one. And yeah, and Karen's
and then
away.
so here's what it is for me.
Go ahead.
I put season one at number three, actually. Typically, season one's like going to be my favorite one, just because it's all. Sometimes in TV, you can just feel they're getting out of ideas, So usually the first season I feel like is the best because they have so much room to explore. But I
Hmm.
thought season one was good, but they didn't. I just thought they were more interesting characters, which is why I put season two number two, because I thought Ashby was a great character. He made Hank look like a good boy, which was fascinating to show the levels of depravity that Ashby would go to. And it's more interesting because the way season two starts off with him and Karen, I feel like, and then Hank
Yes.
inevitably ruins that. And then three is my favorite because of like the sheer chaos with him. He's at a university, and you can imagine him around like some college girls, how that's going to end up, and then him with the dean's wife, that whole situation. It all blows up in his face. But then the end of season three, where everything comes back to get him. And that was like the most emotional scene in the show, I thought. Do you know what I'm talking about?
In the kitchen
Uh, he's like getting
where they're
like
playing like Rocket Man.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. God. Okay, yeah, we're not spoiling that. Yeah, there's some songs. Everything like seems to happen in that kitchen in his apartment. I feel like the kitchen is a real like point of shit really happens there, like the crazy conversations and
Oh, and that
anything.
was a trippy. Oh yeah, here, hold that thought. But that was like one of the trippiest at the end of season four when he's filming like the movie about his life because the book he
Mhm.
wrote with Mia, and then it shows the kitchen and like the characters of his life playing. I don't know. That was so trippy for me because like now his like we're watching a show about Hank, but now he's made this movie, and but this is like just after the actress that's playing Karen has like hooked up with him in the trailer because she's like again he just can't escape it. He literally cannot escape it because she's like I want to get a feel for Karen and like this like soft soothing voice. And then so
Right.
he's like all right so then but it's just so eerie because it's like a shadow of like his life and love you know and he's
Yeah.
getting all the girls to get but again he has none of it so
Hmm.
it's a fascinating but yeah.
Yeah, like what everything he truly cares about. Like there's so many points during the show where he maybe has some of what he cares about, but not all of it, and a big part of that is his family like together and happy, and that's what he like fucks up the most. And I think that's when we were most angry at him during the show is when he really hurts Becca and Karen.
Definitely.
But like you said, complex character, human, dealing with substance abuse issues, relationship issues, probably some sex addiction.
All right. What are you watching right now? Are you watching anything good?
So right now I'm rewatching Stranger Things because the final season is coming out in like 2 weeks. So doing a little rewatch.
Stranger Things. Okay.
Yeah. You've never seen it, right?
I saw the first season.
Okay. Just decided to stop there after, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was all right. Fun
Ah,
for
no,
me.
it's so nostalgic. I feel like it's so good. But I think one of the downfalls is that they take so long in between each season to put out another one. So I
Is that
think
what it?
that's
Because I always see these side by sides of these actors, and they're
yeah.
like 30 now, you know, or whatever the hell. I'm like, how old is the show? But I guess, yeah, because I remember watching it like a long time ago, like almost 10
Yeah,
years
I
ago, I
think
guess.
I watched the first season when I was a senior in high school. So I think it was like 2016, 2017.
Okay, and you're
Um,
34 now, so that was,
I'm not 34. Oh my gosh.
oh, I don't know.
There's that meme coming out. I'm just kidding. I'm not that sensitive.
Yeah, tune in more for more of the mean streak.
For some tears. I think that's what I'm rewatching. So I'm trying to find a show to watch with our grandma that she will connect with and understand.
Oh
Stranger
God,
Things
love.
wasn't it, obviously. There was questions every single minute.
What will she
She,
like?
I don't, it's
All right,
really hard.
yeah. Gosh, what if she watches this? Now I feel bad. She doesn't know podcast though, right? She won't find this.
No.
Okay.
Shout out Oma, we love you so much.
All right. The problem with our family is like kind of a lot of what we like. Like we show them like The Prestige, for example, which has like a big reveal at the end, and then my
Amazing movie.
mom and yeah, my mom, everybody loves it, and then my mom and grandma, they're like, what happened? They're like magicians or something. I'm like, the
They
big
don't know.
reveal. Yeah, like he had a twin, and then they kill, they killing the clones, and they're like, what? They're like,
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I'm like, all right, whatever.
We spent like
Uh,
30 minutes trying to explain what should have been a huge moment, a huge like aha moment, where you're like, holy shit,
right.
like this is insane.
Yeah, like blows your mind. You're like, no way.
They didn't get it, simply didn't get it. Thought the movie
Yeah,
was
I don't know
confusing.
what to type. And then like something like Fight. Yeah, and then they're watching like Fight Club, and they don't get like the whole. So like Chuck Palahniuk, the author, he was a gay man. And it was his portrayal of like heterosexuality or like masculinity. So it was all kind of which I learned actually. I took a film class at Belmont, which is actually pretty fascinating. So I thought, looking at it through that lens, like you can kind of see in the movie how it's all hinted at a skewed version of masculinity. But
Mhm.
all they took away from it was like, there's a lot of fighting, and you're like,
Yeah,
what the heck? So I don't know, but
yeah.
so
Oh, we
yeah,
didn't like the outfits. It's like, what? Huh? Yeah,
yeah.
I think,
They're like, these guys
especially
are sweaty. And you're like, Brad Pitt's so sweaty. I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. But yeah,
yeah, they probably won't be guests on this podcast unless we want some more laughs. Yeah, I think Fight Club is just one of those that, yeah, there's definitely deeper themes to it, obviously. I think all these guys are like, oh, Fight Club, my favorite movie, and they don't understand that, like you're saying, it really goes into like the toxic masculinity themes of that. Also, themes of capitalism is a big thing.
yeah, no, exactly. And like consumerism and how he's pointing
Hmm.
out. Yeah, well, we won't do a whole fight. That could be a future one. But well, I didn't want to, but I just, yeah, I feel like if we talk too much about the other ones, then you know,
Yeah, we'll save it for another pod. That one's a
yeah,
great one, so I'm sure it'll be coming later on.
yeah, might come up. All right, and then I'm watching Spartacus right now, which just dropped on Netflix. I don't know it, but I was visiting Oma and our family in Orlando, and then I always do this. I get to the airport, and I know like I should have shows downloaded for the flight, you know, but I never
Yeah.
do it. So then I'm like scrambling. I'm like in the lounge or wherever the hell. I'm like downloading all this, and I can't find anything. And I see Spartacus. I'm like, I'll download like the first couple. I'll see, because I was just sick of like rewatching like the same old stuff on Netflix or whatever. And And yeah, like immediately after the first one, I was like, this is awesome. Um, it's kind of what we talked about originally. It's not like the best show, but it's original. It's different.
Yeah.
And like the main character is just like who every guy wants to be ever of all time, you know. He leads a slave rebellion against Rome, and he does it all for like his wife. Just the fact that he loves her so much. He's always pushing off like other women. He's like, no, 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 I have this love, and then so immediately in the first, like, he gets taken from his wife, and then so he's trying to fight his way back to her, and he's like the hero the whole time. It's just great.
Yeah.
So I love it. But then the fucking main guy, Spartacus, he gets cancer and dies after season 1 at like 40. So then this new guy shows up, Liam, whatever the hell, McIntyre, whatever the hell, this like Irish guy or whatever, and he's like, I'm Spartacus, and you're like, no, you're not. Like, you like hate him immediately.
Right.
And then he's fine or whatever, but yeah, I mean Andy, the main guy, he was it. So it got better, and I just finished it up. In the last season, it got a lot better. They brought in like Caesar, and Crassus was a great character. So it's almost like a historical fiction in the way, but I love the way they played Caesar. I thought what they did with him, it wasn't historically accurate by any means. Like they had him like embedded into like the slave rebellion as like a spy,
Right.
which absolutely didn't happen, but they got like the essence of him, because I've read it like I love Caesar, and I've read a bunch on Julius Caesar, and yeah, they just got like kind of who he was. So they get the details wrong all the time, but that's kind of why it was like almost like Inglourious Bastards. You know how like Tarantino like twist the ending to where it doesn't, or like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where they just flamethrow all the hippies that killed Sharon Tate. It's like that didn't happen, but that's kind of what Spartacus is like.
Yeah, like reimagining history.
Yeah, which is cool, I think. What is our next episode? What are we looking forward to here?
Okay, I'm gonna make you guess, and I think you'll guess it pretty quickly. So the next episode, the director is Christopher Nolan. It's obviously a movie.
Okay.
It's a longer movie. It's over 2 hours. It's definitely in both of our top tens. We've seen it probably more than 20 times each. The actors in this movie are just absolutely phenomenal.
Dark Knight?
Dark Knight, yeah.
Oh, okay, I was
Great.
like, it seems too obvious, but I'm like, if it's 20 times, I'm like, I mean, I love Chris Nolan, but it's got to be Dark Knight. Like, I don't think I've seen any other
Narrows
Chris
it
Nolan
down.
film. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 10 out of 10. I'm fired up. This is
Yeah.
like my favorite. I have like 3 movies that I've always considered kind of my favorite movies, and this is one of them. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
Wow. Yeah. No, I'm fired up about. I mean, I've seen this. I actually watched this for the first time in a couple years, all the way through, like a month or 2 ago. But I'll give it another watch. I'm always just. It's one of those movies where it's like right from the rip. There's not a wasted second. Like it's you said, it's 2.5 hours, but you're like, there. It's
Live.
just heat. Yeah, it's just heat the entire time. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm excited about this next one. It's gonna be amazing. And yeah, I think, wow, first pod ever.